first opportunity on offense, and he is glad about that, Todd.
Well, that's right. You know, one of the only thing that you can do in football, as opposed to the other two sports, you don't get a next-day game. You have to think about it, in this case, for an entire 2 weeks because of the bye. And that man, as you can see by his season's numbers, is not doing terribly well, and he wants to overcome the miscues that he's had over the last 2 weeks.
He told us that they had a good practice, and he would like to get something going early. And we had a nice visit. I'm impressed with him. I like the way that he is handling this adversity.
Well, one of the things that he has done is he's tried to keep things in perspective. He continues to talk about the fact that his faith in the Lord is going to help him to overcome that. And I agree with that in the long term. But for the short term, Sammy Smith has to have some athletic success. And what better team than today against the 0-8 Colts to have that kind of success?
You know something else about Sammy? That sometimes when those that have strong beliefs in the Lord talk about it's uncomfortable for other people, he makes it very comfortable for everybody that's around him.
Well, it's like Abraham Lincoln once said, I find myself, if I've got no place to go, that I drop to my knees. And evidently that's what Sammy Smith did after 50,000 people were very vulgar with him.
Biasucci kicking off. And at the 2-yard line, it is Mark Logan on the return. And he goes out of bounds at the 19-yard line. Dan Marino, 117th consecutive start. 13 of 28 NFL teams have had quarterback changes this year. And, you know, with all of the injuries that we've had across the league, that alone is an amazing statistic.
Definite tribute to his longevity. Over half the teams nearly have already made changes, and that man has been starting since 1983. That says a lot about not only Dan Marino, but the offensive line as well in taking care of him.
They'll spot it closer to the 20-yard line. First down, Dolphins. And Sammy Smith gets the call. And he picks up 3 yards to the 23-yard line. It'll be second down and 7, the offensive line for Miami. And they are now together for their 3rd straight game. Speaking of injuries, they've had their share of them. The backs and receivers, Marino, Smith, Page, Duper, Clayton. And the tight end is Greg Beatty. And they will go to 4 wide with 2 running backs and the tight end coming out. Jensen, Banks, and Martin all coming in. Second down and 7. Just to note is that Sammy Smith on the first carry carried the ball in his left hand. And Todd has a note on that. Second down, Marino to throw. And it is incomplete. Smith, the intended receiver, so will check in defensively with the Colts. And their front 7, they'll have their hands full, of course, trying to put pressure on Marino. Their secondary, they also will have a workout with Good, Daniel Ball, and Taylor. They will show a loaded nickel with 2 linebackers and the nose tackle coming out. Clancy, Agee, and John Baylor all coming in. Rick Venturi, the head coach of the Colts, his record is 0-3. The Colts record is 0-8. Third down and 7. Marino underneath. First down. He comes to Duper, and Duper comes across to pick up the first down, converting on 3rd and 7, and Dave McClellan finally chased him out.
Well, Mark Duper claims that he hasn't lost any of that 9.4 speed that he has had earlier in his career. Now at 30 years of age, you can see that as he cuts to the sidelines, if he's able to cut upfield, McClellan does use the sideline to push him out of bounds. But Mark Duper shows that he still has the speed, getting a big first down on 3rd. Cutting across the field, it's almost a pick. You can see that Alan Grant is behind, makes a nice effort there, but Duper's able to get out of the tackle and get the first down for the Dolphins.
First down, Miami at their own 38-yard line, opening drive. And here is Smith on a sweep to the right side, cuts back in across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Tony Siragusa makes the tackle, and it'll be second down, a little over a yard to go for the first down.
Sammy Smith does a nice job here. The Colts over pursue. Right in the middle, you can see Jeff Harrod being pushed off by Jeff Ulenek, and that enables him to find a seam cutting back against the grain for 8 yards on first down. Part of the problem of the Colt defense has been that they have given up an average of 6 yards on first down. And when you continue to come up 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2, that's the death knell for your defense.
Smith needing a yard for the first down. It will be close, depends upon where they mark it. Scott Radishek makes the stop for the Colts. And and we may have the change for the first time. No, it's a first down.
I think this is what Miami wanted to do early on. You know, you wanted to pound in. I mean, the Colts, as we'll show in a graphic later on, are last in the National Football League versus the rush. And earlier in the season, when they had played them, Sammy Smith was injured. Mark Higgs had 111 yards rushing. So the Dolphins know that this is a chance for their running game to get well.
First down at their own 49-yard line. Little play action fake. Marino drops it right over the middle to Sammy Smith. The man he faked to, and he'll pick up close to 10 yards on the play. And Radisick again with the tackle.
Well, that's what happens when you're effective in the running game. Your play action passing does that much more. The Colts are back in their zone defense. You're going to watch Sammy Smith take the fake and just cut to the middle. Everybody's backpedaling into their zones, and he has a little seam. And, of course, a runner like Sammy Smith with the ball downfield, that's a guy that you want to have with the ball. And Radisick makes the tackle, but not before. He's very close to a first down.
And the ball just outside of the Colts' 41-yard line, and now the change will come across the field for this measurement. 11:59 is the time remaining. We're in the first quarter. This is the opening drive of the ball game. We have no score. And back-to-back first downs for the Dolphins.
Sammy Smith has got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now. He doesn't have a smile on his face or anything, but you know, when the last time you touch the ball ends up as an egregious error, which it was 2 weeks ago, now he's had a couple of carries under his belt, made a nice catch. He's got to be feeling into the rhythm of things and feeling pretty good about himself.
He said he told us he was expecting a big day today. And he said it with a big smile. Here's a little delayed screen to Sammy Smith on the right side. And he goes to the 35-yard line. He has 6. It'll be second down and 4 as Chris Good makes the tackle.
You know, I wonder if this is intentional, Charlie.
It is intentional.
You know,
Don Shula is doing this intentionally.
To get him the ball now. This is what, about 5 or 6 straight times Sammy Smith has had his hands on the ball, but all in situations that aren't that difficult. You know, a screen pass, not that tough to catch. A little check down out of the backfield, not too tough. Going off tackle, that's not too complex either. I think that what they're trying to do is trying to not only give him a little confidence, but not put him in any situations that are too troublesome.
Here is Tony Page as he goes now to the 26, picks up the first down. Well, of course, everybody by now pretty well knows the story of Sammy Smith and what happened. Well, after the abuse that he took, he got some letters from some kids, and one of them was from Tina Filippelli. Dear Sammy, I am sorry about what happened on Sunday. No one deserves to be treated that way. Everybody makes mistakes, and that was your mistake. But it does not matter to me because I still think you are the best player. And Sammy said the letters that he got from the kids, that was the most important thing that happened to him.
No doubt about it. That's out of the mouth of babes. Isn't it wonderful how children are not as judgmental as adults? I'm sure he saved that one for his scrapbook, huh?
Oh, yes. Here is Mark Higgs, who is into the lineup, and he picks up 6 yards to the 20 on a first down carry, and has a second down and 4.
As we mentioned earlier, Mark Higgs had a very good game against the Colts the first time around in their 17-6 victory at 111 yards. You can see the nice cutback inside. You know, Mark Higgs started the season with 200-yard games, and against Detroit he had a chance to do something that no Dolphin runner had ever done. And as a result of that, he feels a little bit miffed. You can see right there, he says, I should be starting this week. I'm not happy. I mean, fair is fair. And if you look at the statistics, Mark Higgs has over 500 yards, while Sammy Smith had only 64 heading into this game. So you'd have to say Higgs has a legitimate beat.
Incomplete. Duper, the intended receiver. That was the 10th play of this drive. It will be third down and 4 at the 20-yard line. It started back at the Miami 20. Again, the opening drive of the ball game. The Dolphins have used up more than 5.5 minutes, and they face a third down and 4. They've had one of the third down opportunity on the third play of the drive, 3rd and 7, that they converted. They go now with 4 wide receivers. Jim Jensen comes in. Key third down performer, number 11 in the backfield with Marino. Marino's pass is complete at the 12-yard line. And it is a first down for Fred Banks.
During this week, Fred Banks, they had to waive because they had to save some moves, personnel moves, that is. And so as a result, they exposed him to the rest of the league. But fortunately for them, nobody picked him up, and so they're able to put him on the roster. And you can see right there a clutch third down catch for the Dolphins. Part of the problem of the Colt defense has been that teams have averaged on third down against them in passing 62%. And you just can't have that if you're going to be a stout defense.
And that's that four-wide set that we talked about where Jensen Banks and Tony Martin come in. The two running backs of the tight end come out. First down at the 12. Marino, end zone touchdown. Duper has it. For Mark Duper, that is the 50th touchdown of his career and the 50th of his connection with quarterback Dan Marino, and that doesn't even make the leaders of that particular list that we'll be talking about in the ballgame.
Well, Mark Duper does a terrific job. He runs a corner out. He just turns Chris Good around. Watch the fake to the inside, and he buys it. That's just not a good job of covering, especially that close in. In fact, he even turns back for a ball that's underthrow. That was a very easy touchdown for Marino and Duper.
An 80-yard drive in 12 plays. Extra point is good. It took 6:26 in time. Dolphins on top. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the Hoosier Dome, where the Miami Dolphins take the opening kickoff and move 80 yards for the touchdown. I'm Charlie Jones with Todd Christensen. What do you expect to see this afternoon from the beleaguered Colts?
Well, I think that one of the things they have to do is establish the run early. They've got their horse healthy, and now they got to ride him. They got to see what Dickerson can do early on.
And when we talked to him yesterday, he guarded optimism. Would you say that's his attitude?
Well, his center, Brian Baldinger, came right out and said we expect a 100-yard day from Eric Dickerson, so we shall see.
The expectations are high. We will have his opportunity in a moment. Stoyanovich kicking off. And Verdun on the return. Slips the tackle at the 20. And then he is deluged at the 20-yard line. Dickerson goes on the field. We'll step aside for a moment. We'll be back.
The king of beers. With that clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud. By Schick Tracer, it traces every curve on your face. And by the 25th anniversary diamond, a brilliant celebration of the loving marriage.
Colts with their first offensive opportunity at their own 20-yard line. They trail 7-0 for Jeff George, his 17th consecutive start. And Eric Dickerson opens up with 13 yards to the 33. First down.
Now, isn't it interesting? They had about 3 guys come and pick him up. Dickerson shows as he cuts back against the grain that he still has a little bit of speed. But now I want you to watch right at the end. Take a look at Eric right at the end of the run and watch how he braces himself a little bit. Now, that shows right there he's just a little bit tentative. I know the Eric of past years wouldn't have cringed quite like that, but that certainly is an auspicious beginning for the running game of the Indianapolis Colts.
Roscoe, the second tight end in this set, is the motion man. And Eric goes to the 38-yard line. It will be second down. Let's look at that offense of the Colts with Moss, Randy Dixon, Baldinger, Schultz, and Call up front. Boy, they have been all over the place, in and out with all kinds of players, backs and receivers. Of course, Eric Dickerson, the big story. He is back from the hamstring injuries. They will go to a rhino set when the fullback comes out. And James Cooley comes in as the second tight end. And sometimes it's Roscoe rather than Cooley. And Dixon close to the first down. Randy Dixon, number 69. Offensive lineman. They did not think that he would even make the kickoff. He's coming off of injuries, but the reason that he was a bit late, he is a new father. As of 1 o'clock this afternoon, his wife Patricia gave birth to a baby daughter, their first child, Desiree. Mother, daughter, and father all doing well. Eric Dickerson to the 48-yard line. Let's check in now that Miami defense, their front seven, the return of rookie linebacker At the bottom, number 51, Brian Cox. He will be starting today. The secondary, Jackson, Brown, Williams, and Oliver. Now, they will show a 47 defense. They'll go to 7 DBs with Harden, Green, and Magruder all coming in. Second down and 4. Little play action fake. A blitz was coming free. That was Lewis Oliver from the left side, and nobody picked him up. Of course, after the fake to Eric, there's nobody there to pick him up.
Yeah, that was actually a good idea by the Colts, but it backfired a little bit. Give Lewis Oliver credit. He's coming on what's called a blue slash, which is a strong safety blitz. They don't have anybody to pick him up, and so he's not fooled at all by the fake. And so George had to pull it back a little bit and was not able to get it into Pat Beach. That's kind of tough for the Colts there, especially the way that they were running. You could certainly second guess why they would even pass the way Dickerson had been running in his first 4 carries, which, by the way, his 4 carries for 29 yards puts him past 1,000 yards against the Miami Dolphins alone. That's the only team he's done that to in his career. He has had 1,000 yards against the Dolphins.
And the Colts take a timeout. We'll be back in just a moment. George to the shotgun, goes deep, has the man knocked away. Good defensive play by J.B. Brown. For Dan, the intended receiver, it'll be 4th down and 4.
This is where history is very difficult on a quarterback. George throws off his back foot. He has plenty of time. They do a nice job up front, and Verdun cuts to the outside and has J.B. Brown by a step. But because Jeff George was thrown off his back foot, he didn't get enough on it, and that enabled J.B. Brown to bat the ball away. Watch as he's leaning back here. See, he's throwing sidearm off the back foot, and he's been knocked down so much. The most sacked quarterback in the National Football League.
Here is the kick, and it is a beauty. And it will go through the end zone for the touchback. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line, a kick of 51 yards. Let's go back and finish out our Budweiser 10-minute ticker. In the 4th quarter, San Francisco leading Atlanta. And a final, Cincinnati defeats Cleveland. That is the first win of the year. 16-16. We have a later report that it went into overtime, and Leahy with a field goal, and the Jets win that one over Green Bay 19-16. Minnesota defeats Tampa Bay. And in the late games, New Orleans with the early lead, Dallas with the early lead, and here it is Miami 7 and Indianapolis nothing. And the Dolphins have the ball, first down at their own 20-yard line. And Marino comes out throwing. And he comes right back to Sammy Smith, who was the spark of the touchdown drive.
Let's turn it into the Sammy Smith show, Charlie. You know, it's almost as if they don't have anybody else out there catching the ball. Of course, Duper had the touchdown, but it was Smith's yards that got him down the field. They're doing an awful lot to build this young man's confidence, and it looks to me like it's working.
Well, I think that's Don Shula's plan. This is if this is the man he's going to go with, and use Mark Higgs as the backup running back. This is the start of the second half of the season, and they still have a shot at a wild card. And here is Sammy Smith, and he is down at the 30-yard line. And again, and I noted this earlier, and I wanted your comment on it, he carries the ball in his left hand. Left arm.
Well, twice now in both situations at the goal line, when he fumbled, he had the ball in his left hand. The whole idea for a running back is that when you're going to the right, you carry it in your right. When you go to the left, you carry it in your left. But what happens is you got to go with what's comfortable for you. You can see right there he has 2 hands on it, and then he comes back into the left arm. Evidently, he feels that that's comfortable for him, and so that's the way he's going to do it.
But you pointed out earlier he is right-handed.
Well, that's correct. But again, you know, when you get on the field, Bo Jackson was right-handed, a former teammate of mine, and he used to carry the ball in his left hand as well. So evidently, when it comes to carrying the ball, these gentlemen feel that they are ambidextrous.
It is a first down at the 30-yard line. Miami leads 7-0. Pass is complete to Tony Page, and he is dropped after a gain of a couple of yards. All the thrills and excitement of Notre Dame football continue next Saturday on NBC when the Irish will host SEC Power Tennessee. Tennessee versus Notre Dame, presented by Sears Craftsman, next Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Notre Dame ranked number 5 in the country and well on their way to a major bowl outing and perhaps a shot at that elusive number 1 title in collegiate football. Second down and 7. The ball at the 33. Miami 7 and the Colts nothing. With 3:22 time remaining, we're in the first quarter. And here is Sammy Smith again to the 37-yard line. He has 4, so it will be third down and 3, and a chance for us to check in with our first Xerox Sports Facts of the day. Who is the only defensive back to be named most valuable player in a Super Bowl?
Ooh, I like it. Nice question. Gee, I wonder who the clever and erudite person was who thought that one up.
His initials are probably TC, but I'm not sure. Four wide receivers plus Jensen. And the pass is completed as Duper slips a tackle, turns his feet on down the sideline. Excellent running after the reception for the touchdown scoring Mark Duper, and it was Chris Good who finally got to him.
One of the things when we talk with Rick Venturi is he says we can't blitz him too often, but you can see Jeff Arad coming on the blitz, and that leaves man-for-man coverage on Mark Duper. And still, as we mentioned before, with his speed, he's going to beat that 90% of the time. Cuts up field and gives the Dolphins excellent field position at the 26-yard line. With that catch, Mark Duper is within 1 yard of Nat Moore's all-time career record for yardage for a Dolphin receiver. When you think of the names like Paul Warfield and Howard Twilley, that is a pretty significant record.
And here is Sammy Smith. Has 3 yards to the 23. It'll be second down and 7. We have a final that is just in overtime. The final in overtime just in. The Redskins defeat Houston 16-13. Chip Lohmiller with a 41-yard field goal in overtime. And that is his third field goal of the ball game.
That game lived up to its hype, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Super Bowl 20. They may meet again indoors.
And that would certainly be an advantage
in the Super Bowl. Yep. Second down and 7. Miami up 7-0. The pass is complete to Greg Beatty, and he is dropped at the 18-yard line. Gain of 5, so it'll be third down and a couple. Our Xerox Sports Facts: who is the only defensive back to be named MVP in a Super Bowl? And the answer is Jake Scott. Super Bowl 7, and notice that he wears number 13. What other Dolphin wears number 13?
Gee, let me think about that for a long while.
I knew that you would like that.
You had an interesting story, though, regarding that number 13. Maybe we can get to after this play as to why he wears that number.
Actually, we get to it very quickly now. Little League. His dad was the coach, had number 13 left. Nobody wanted it. He said, son, you wear it. And he's still wearing it. And it is incomplete at the 4-yard line. Jetson could not hold on to it.
Jeff Arad has him man for man, and it's interesting because when we talked with Don Shula yesterday, he was saying that he was hoping that the youngster Aaron Craver from Fresno State was going to be able to fill this role. That's hit right between the 1 and the 1. It's a terrific throw, and he's a little bit frustrated with Jensen because that's it. What else can I do? I put it right where I needed to put it.
Another final is in. Atlanta defeats the 49ers 17-14. Yard field goal attempt. Stoyanovich has it from 35 yards away. The Dolphins move on top by a score of 10-0. Remaining in the first quarter, Miami is up 10-0 over the Colts. Stoyanovich will be kicking off to either number 86 Sammy Martin and number 83 Clarence Verdun. It's going to be Verdun, and he fields it at the 10-yard line to the 20. And and returns to the 31-yard line. Now let's check in with the ticker and update all the scores of everything that's going on today. Washington defeats Houston in overtime. Chicago defeats Detroit. And Buffalo defeats New England. These are the early games. Atlanta downs San Francisco. Cincinnati with their first victory of the year over Cleveland, 23-21. In overtime, Jets down Green Bay 19-16, and Minnesota defeats Tampa Bay 28-13, I believe, as we flip through. Now, these are the late scores to kind of check you up with the other games that are going on along with ours, where Miami here leads the Colts by a score of 10-0. And here is Eric Dickerson, a couple of yards to the 33-yard line. David Griggs makes the tackle. Now, we alluded to the fact the changes in the Colt offensive line. We'll give that to you graphically when we come back after the end of the quarter. The gun sounds, and the score is Miami 10, Colts nothing. Back in a moment.
This Heisman Trophy moment is brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. At Florida, quarterback Steve Spurrier proved a game-saver. 8 times in his college career, Spurrier rescued Florida from defeat in the fourth quarter. The multi-talented Spurrier won games with his kicking as well as his passing. Shaving was the
of Miami, and we'll check out the flag.
Looks like the Dolphins were offsides. One of the things that was revealed there in our little Keystone Cops episode of showing the musical chairs of the linemen is the fact that in 9 weeks, and this is
on number 91 on the defense, offside,
That's
first down,
Jeff Cross,
5 yards.
First down and 5.
And this doesn't even include the fact that Pat Beach, their starting tight end, was only able to come back 2 weeks ago. So if you really look at it from a tight end standpoint, they have had 9 different offensive lines in 9 weeks. There's just no way to have any degree of continuity. And later we'll get a chance to hear from Eric Dickerson as to why that continuity is so important to him and why it's unfair to blame him for all of the woes of the running games of the Colts.
First down and 5, a little play action. Eric with a pretty good block. Pass is complete at the 45-yard line to Anthony Johnson. He is dropped in his tracks. So it'll be second down and 4.
Anthony Johnson's done a nice job for the Colts. That's his 41st catch of the season. He leads the team. Unfortunately, his average per catch is less than 7 yards.
He leads all running backs in receptions in the National Football League.
There you get a chance to see the graphic. Indianapolis. Look at offensively. Those 3 major statistics there, 28th, 28th, and 27th. And, of course, from the defensive side, they've struggled as well. So it's no coincidence. You know how they say that sometimes the records are misleading. In this case, they are not. Indianapolis is 0-8 for a reason.
Little swing right side Dickerson. That may be a lateral. That is something you have to why everybody kind of forgets about that. If it is a backward pass, it becomes a free ball.
Well, far be it from me to second guess, but of course that is part of the job description. Why it's second,
part of your personality.
Part of 2nd and 3. Speak for yourself. Would you do a play like this when the guy is averaging near over 6 yards a carry? You got 2nd and 3. Now you put yourself in a precarious position of being 3rd down at midfield, as opposed to when you have a back like number 29 who seems to be going quite well. Why not give him 2 chances at getting that 2.5 yards?
Ken Clark is back with Jeff George with 4 wide receivers on a 3rd down. And the pass is complete to Hester to the 25. Spins out of bounds, 21-yard line. Converting on 3rd down and a gain of 23 yards. J.B. Brown finally stopped him. That's why.
Well, now I'll lose a little bit of my objectivity, Charlie. Jesse Hester was a teammate of mine with the Raiders, a former first-round pick back in 1985, but he had problems. They let him go. He had problems with the Falcons. They let him go. And once again, that's Louis Oliver on the ground, and I don't understand that. Why do they have a free safety, a 225-pounder, trying to stay with the guy that runs a 4.3 40?
Second reception of the ball game for Jesse Hester. Dickerson back in for a couple of yards, maybe 3. He's 2nd down and 7. The ball at the 18-yard line. Jeff Cross makes the tackle. When we talked to Jeff Cross yesterday, we asked him about Eric Dickerson, and he says, Dickerson makes you miss. He gets 4 or 5 yards when there's absolutely nothing there.
Well, what else is impressive about him, too, is despite the fact that people get the impression that this man is a finesse runner, he does weigh 224 pounds, so it's not as if he's a small back.
A little draw action is stopped at the line of scrimmage. It will be 3rd down and 7, and it was Cross who made the play. And after talking with us yesterday, he handed us the camera and wanted his picture taken with you.
Yeah, that was nice. I was very appreciative of that. It's nice to know that somebody knows a little history. Still, that was a nice play he just made there. Zephyrus Moss was unable to keep him out on the delay route, and they had a pretty good hole up top. You know, with regards to Jeff Cross, coming back to that a little bit, you know, they really counted on him to do a lot defensively. You know, last year in the middle of the season at this point, he had 10 sacks, and everybody anticipated that this man was going to be a real sack monster, but thus far this season, he only has 3.
The Colts take their 2nd timeout of the ball game. The score is Miami 10, Indianapolis nothing. We'll be back. It was on Eric Dickerson, one happy camper, but it hasn't worked out that way for him.
Well, I think that Eric was talking about the fact that this was the year that he was really going to get big numbers. Jeff George was going to have a passing game, and they're going to be that much more effective. But things haven't worked out that way, needless to say, here in Indianapolis.
3rd down and 7. George slips away from pressure. Throws to the end zone. It is no good. It is caught by Billy Brooks, but out of bounds. He was in the end zone, came back out when George started scrambling. This was about the 2 or 3 yard line.
George actually does a nice job here scrambling to the right, and Billy Brooks does whatever he can to keep both feet in bounds.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Ooh, that's going to be close.
I think we should review this.
What happens here is that the momentum takes his feet up off the ground, and that's what the official is going to. That's what the official sees. The right foot. Watch the right foot. Does it ever touch the green? It doesn't. That's a good call by the official, right on top of it. Take a look at the official here to the left of the screen. Look at where his eyes are. His eyes are right there on the AstroTurf on the 2 yard line. Nice job by that judge. Right on top of it. Good call.
And, of course, you know the rule, 2 feet inbounds with possession of the football.
Well, that was a great effort by Billy Brooks. He has had an outstanding career for the Colts thus far. In his last 6 seasons, he's averaged over 59 catches a season. And, of course, just to make that catch, let alone keep your feet in bounds, is impressive. As we were fortunate enough 2 weeks ago to get the Colts, and he passed one of the all-time great players in Colt history, in John Mackey, for career receptions. So that young man, like everybody else, has been frustrated with the lack of success of the Colts, but he is a player.
Review by the replay official. The play stands. 4th down.
You heard some reactions of the crowd as it was shown here on the big screen, and then a spattering of boos, but I think that everybody agrees that it was a good call. Field goal attempt now from the 26-yard line, an attempt of 36 yards. It has now been 17 quarters for the Colts without scoring a touchdown. Here is Dean Biasucci, 36 yards away. And it is good. There's a flag down. It was 4th down and 7 at the 18-yard line. Miami is cheering. They're saying holding against the Colts, and it may be on number 74, William Schultz, the right guard.
What happens a lot of times is when field goal defensive teams come from the outside, that they will get hooked by the up back.
Holding. Number 97 on the offense. 10 yards, still 4th down.
Scott Radisek is the left wing back, an inside linebacker. Take a look right here. You're going to see his left arm come out and hook the rusher. Watch his left arm. That's what the official sees right there. And this is the official that ends up throwing the flag. He's the referee, so that wasn't the time to do it. He did it right in front of that man, and that's why it's going to be 10 yards farther back at a 46-yard field goal. It's much tougher than 36.
Now, Biasucci this year has hit from 54 yards. His career is 55. This is 46. High snap. And it is bending left. And it is no good. So a disastrous holding call against the Colts. The score remains Miami 10, Colts nothing. home in Indianapolis with 10 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the first half. The Dolphins leading the Colts by a score of 10-0, and Miami has the ball at their own 28-yard line, first down. Dan Marino today playing in a new pair of shoes. Testing them yesterday here. They worked out for about an hour and a half. He wants to set a screen left, instead goes deep, and he overthrows everybody. He looked right, and then he came back looking short left, and then he went deep, and it is incomplete.
What happened earlier in the game? Take a look at Nat Moore. Watch this helicopter. This is one I'm sure that you must have seen on a million different replays. Look at the shot that he takes, turns completely around. Today, his record was beaten. We mentioned earlier the fact that he was close, but in reality, Mark Duper there, number 85, 3 catches for 75 yards, has now moved into first place on the Dolphins' all-time receiving list for yardage.
Second down and 10. Gets pressure inside, complete to Clayton, and Mark Clayton picks up about 8 yards. It'll be third down and 2. Chris Good makes the tackle.
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost as if he must have heard us talking about Duper, so he goes to Clayton. Clayton here on a simple slant route, pick it right in his face, but Marino makes a nice throw. And you got a chance to see those Foster Grants. You know, he mentioned to you the reason why he wears those glasses.
Didn't have them on last week, the ballgame 2 weeks ago, because the sunglasses, his shades were scratched up and bothered him some. He said he wears contacts. They protect his eyes, and they look great.
You remember the cartoon Adam Ant? That's what it looks like.
Sammy Smith is stuck. I think the shades of Clayton are a fashion statement more than anything else.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, because I'm not buying into that line about the fact that it's too bright here.
Oh, yeah, he looked up at the dome. Yes, it is very bright.
That's very bogus. I'm not buying into that one. Well, in between the stories that we were just telling, that was a nice play there by both Jeff Herrod and Dwayne Bickett to stuff the Dolphins here on third down, and now they force them to punt. Good stand there by the defense of the Colts.
And Reggie Roby with a great extension, and notice that the plant foot never leaves the turf. He says he gets more height that way. And Verdun is the return man. High snap over his head. Turns, still gets it away. Good reaction by Roby.
Now, here's something that's surprising to me. As long as it took for him to get that ball off, why is it that there are no flags for people downfield? This is a nice athletic play by Reggie Roby to get this off. We'll be back right after this.
You're looking at 84 Greg Beatty. Now he snaps on the punts. Dellenbach snaps on the extra point and field goal attempt. Colts now with the first down, they're on 23.
I was about to say he was saved by Roby there. That could have been a real big problem.
And here is Eric Dickerson to the 27-yard line. He has 4. It'll be second down and 6. Cross with a tackle. Let's go back to the punt.
Fortunately for the Dolphins, the Colts were set up on a return. Watch the front 3 people right here, and this is what they're doing. They're just setting people up. They're not trying to rush the punter. Now at the last minute, you can see that someone comes in, number 25, Cornell Holloway, but that's too late. Roby does a nice job of keeping his composure. A lot of times you'll see what punters will do is that they'll take off in that situation. But Roby does a nice job there of keeping his poise and getting the ball off. Beatty's over there saying, geez, Reg, I'm sorry.
Second and 6. Dickerson gets a good block, cuts to the outside, leans to the 29-yard line. They'll mark it to the 30. They'll give him 3. It'll be third down and 3. Let's check the ITT 10-minute ticker. These are the late scores only. The Saints out in front of the Rams in the second quarter, 10-3. Dallas leading Phoenix by 3 in the second, 10-7. And here are the score: Miami 10, Indianapolis nothing, with 7:23 left to go in the first half. Rick Venturi, the head coach of the Colts.
Yeah, had an interesting comment yesterday when he said that he was asking his father about the frustrations of coaching. He said, hey, if things were perfect, they would have had you be head coach, right?
That's right. His father, Joe, a legend in high school coaching ranks in Illinois, in their coaching Hall of Fame, and he and his mom in the stands today, seeing him as a head coach here for the first time, and also watching George scramble all the way to the 24-yard line. He started at the 30 and then ends up losing about 6 on a third down. They'll be kicking it away.
The players refer to this as happy feet. The offensive line doesn't do a real good job. They're E.J. Jr. on the loop. Cross gets 2 people. Now it starts, the big dance. Running to his left and trying to throw right-handed is difficult. You can see David Griggs able to run Jeff George down. That is the 28th sack that the offensive line of the Colts has given up, which is second most in the National Football League behind Cincinnati.
Stark with another great kick. His first one was 51 yards. Here is Scott Miller. He bobbles it, falls on it at the 17-yard line. Will be down at that point. He may scoot him back to the 16. We've got a timeout. Dolphins lead it 10.
Well, what's impressive about this is not just the fact that he's passing Tom Landry at 419 games, but that he has won 301 of them. That's the statistic that stands out. Very impressive man.
Miami leading 10-0. First down at their own 17-yard line. And here is Sammy Smith. And he'll pick up 3 to the 20. It will be second down and 7 as Bickett makes the tackle. A reminder that at the conclusion of today's game, we'll be presenting the Avis We Try Harder Award, which will be given to the game's most valuable player. Miami in control by a score of 10-0. They pretty well shut down the offense of the Colts. And if Miami could score one more time, that will take the Colts out of their running mode and put Eric Dickerson on the bench. Sammy Smith carries and Bickett is there. It'll be third down and 6.
Bickett and Jeff Harrod on the tackle. I like the play at number 54, Jeff Harrod. He's one of the few inside linebackers that stays in the game every single down. You know, heading into this game, he missed 2 games with an ankle injury, and Rick Venturi told us that that was just a major, major loss. That man averages 13 tackles a game.
Sounds a bit like a politician when we talk to him. That big smile and everything is glowing and fine.
Oh, he wants to be in the Pro Bowl, and I can't argue with him. I think he's very deserving.
He should be. There's no question about it. Miami with 4 wide receivers in Jensen. Marino goes deep, and it is incomplete. And it will be 4th down.
Grant right with him, throws a little bit behind it to the outside. Duper never had a chance, but still that was good coverage there by number 26, Alan Grant of the Colts. And that's 2 straight times now the Colt defense has stopped the Dolphins. What they have to do now on the other end is get some points.
And if Verdan can get a punt return of 7 or 8 yards, it will start with excellent field position. Reggie Roby again, if he gets a good snap, he will plant that left foot and it stays on the ground. Oh, he sails a beauty. And Verdan chases it all the way back to the 18-yard line. Moves outside the return to 30. Then he is tripped up and down at the 40-yard line. And it was Cooper who got him. Is that right? Just got a hand on his foot.
You know, Charlie, Clarence Verdan has really been frustrated this year. Coming into this game, he only had 10 punt returns for an average of just barely over 5 yards. He's actually 9th on the all-time list, and last year he was a Pro Bowler at 12.5 yards per return. Clarence Verdan, really an excitable guy. Terrific dancer, too. Danced with MC Hammer in the off-season.
Roby's punt, 61 yards, and a 21-yard return. First down Colts at their own 40-yard line. They trail in the ball game by a score of 10-0 with 4:41 left to go in the first half. George, all the time in the world, deep over the middle. First down, he goes to Hester. They'll mark it at the 46-yard line of Miami. J.B. Brown makes the play.
I don't know if it's that the offensive line is playing better or it's because Jeff George has learned how to buy some time. But look at how he sits here and hesitates. Moves to the left a little bit, waits, then drills a strike to Jesse Hester right there in the middle of the field. His nickname is the Jet for obvious reasons. But you know, I never had that one. They never gave me nicknames like that. Yeah, I got Locomotive or Tractor or something. Jesse the Jet Hester.
Oglesby comes across. George may have got him on the hard count.
Ever since Sean Lee has been hurt at nose guard, they've had some different people in the middle.
Number 96 on the defense, 5 yards, still first down.
Charlie, coming into the game, one of the things that I had anticipated for the Colts was their ability to run inside. It's not that Oglesby isn't a great player, but one of the difficulties that the Dolphins have had with injuries is that right in the middle, their two inside linebackers slated to start, Grimsley and Offerdahl, are now out for the season, as is their nose guard Lee. So they're a little bit susceptible to running in the middle of the field.
Here is Anthony Johnson, close to the first down. It was first down and 5.
I'm sorry to laugh.
What did you like? You saw something that I didn't see.
Well, they had Eric Dickerson as a lead blocker. Take a look at the left of your screen. Watch 29 try to block if we're able to follow it. He runs it. He just goes down. Now you're going to see him just laying on the turf. He didn't do a thing, but he made it look good. Anthony Johnson able to come close to the first down. Now, that man is not paid $1.5 million to block. That man is paid to carry the ball. I can guarantee you they're not going to have a steady diet of number 29 blocking anybody.
It'll be second down and short.
Watch number 29 to the far right of your screen. Oh, yeah.
Well,
nice.
That's not too bad.
Oh, come on.
Him out of them.
Nice try. That's one where he gets into the films and he says to the coach, you know, I really, I kind of tripped there on that blade around the 37-yard line. I tripped on the turf. I meant to block him. Yeah, right. Claims that those goggles, by the way, are not a fashion statement. He said he's been poked in the eye enough that he actually does need those. Has nothing to do with looking good.
Anthony Johnson fumbles. A scramble for the ball. Miami says that they have it.
Well, Miami definitely has it. The argument here is whether or not Johnson's forward motion was stopped, and since the officials are not mentioning any of that, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be the Dolphins' ball. This is really a shame because the hole is to the outside and Johnson guessed wrong. You're going to get a chance to see when he spins around. That's when he loses the ball. Nobody takes it away from him. Here he comes to the bottom of the screen, runs into his man. Now watch when he spins off. See to the outside. Look at the big hole there. Now nobody has touched him, so he's not really down in there. That's when the ball comes loose. He's trying to lean it forward, comes loose, and I believe it was Cliff Odom who made the recovery.
And officials timeout. I assume that they are going to take another quick look, as they will review it. Yes.
Well, he might be down, but see who is it that touches him? It's his own man right there. Now, right here. Okay, he's down. All right, if that foot right there is a Miami Dolphin foot, then technically you would say that he is down. But that's what the argument will be because no one caused the fumble other than A.J. just coughed it up. So it'll be interesting to see what the officials rule here.
Question I have is why was Anthony Johnson carrying the ball and not Dickerson?
Well, that's a good point, too. You know,
I mean, he was the lead blocker on the play before this, and now Dickerson is another blocker on this play.
I guess they felt like that they wanted the decoy. Right there you can see a little bit of a goof up there in the handoff by George. You can see him picking his left foot up. That was a little bit out of sync, and that might have caused Johnson not to be able to hold on to the football.
So with the turnover, the Dolphins have a first down at their own 36-yard line. And they come back with Sammy Smith. He bursts through first down to the 46-yard line of Indianapolis.
Charlie, just from a human nature standpoint, it's not a matter of rooting for the Dolphins or rooting for the Colts, but when you see someone have a little bit of success after the problems he's had, you have to be happy for Sammy Smith. I think that this is his chance to stick it to the pusillanimous hordes who opted to denigrate his character by screaming at him there at the end of the game. It's not like he tried to fumble, and I'm happy for the fact that right now he's having a little bit of success here in this game.
He picks up 18 yards, and you notice that he folded both arms over the ball when he was getting ready to be hit. Here's Sammy Smith again. From the 46 to the 43, it'll be second down and 7 as we check the ITT 10-minute ticker. Saints leading the Rams 10-3, Dallas 3 in front of Phoenix. And here it is Miami 10, the Colts nothing. And Miami with possession 2 minutes and 3 seconds and counting. That'll take us right down to the 2-minute break. Dolphins on top. They're shutting out the Colts. We'll be back to the Hoosier Dome in a moment.
Coach, this is only the third time at the halfway point that they are at 500. Both in 1976 and in 1986, they did not finish with winning records, and he feels like that he can turn that around for a lot of different reasons, one of which is the schedule, which we'll get a chance to show you a little bit later on.
Did you notice how he greeted our producer, Tommy Roy, yesterday like a long-lost son?
Oh, boy, I tell you what.
He talked about coming over to his house and coming to their parties.
There's a term for what Tommy did. I think it's either apple polishing or pump priming. Actually, there's another term that involves your nose, but I don't want to mention it.
I've known Sheila for 25 years. I've never been received like that. Pass is complete to Freddie Banks, and he goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line. He's got the first down. John Baylor was chasing him.
Freddie Banks earlier had another big third down catch, and once again you can see they're coming with the blitz. Rick Venturi said they're going to try and disguise it and not blitz too much, but what happens here is you put them in that single coverage in the secondary, and Dan Marino more than not is going to win that battle.
The ball just outside the Colt 26-yard line. 1:50 time remaining in the first half. Good defensive play by Pickett as he drops Sammy Smith.
Dwayne Bickett, the Pro Bowl linebacker for the Colts, some 4 years ago was in the Pro Bowl. You can see right here the delay pattern enables him to cut across. Bickett is averaging 9 tackles a game, and he's also their leader with 4 sacks.
Miami with a timeout. Stay with us at halftime for the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report with Bob Costas, Bill Purcell, Will McDonough. OJ is in Washington for that ball game today. They'll bring you up to date with all of the action around the league and those exciting first games, a pair of overtimes. Really some good football going today, and they will bring you up to date on everything that has happened, not only in the early games, but also by a score of 10-0. 1:27 left to go in the first half. Reno fires. It is complete to Jensen, and Jensen goes to the 18-yard line. He's going to be 2 yards shy of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Harrod makes the tackle, and they'll take another timeout to stop the clock. So we'll step away just for a moment. We'll be back to the Hoosier Dome. This is Charlie Jones and Todd Christensen. As Miami now with an opportunity to add to their total. They're out in front 10-0. 1:19 left to go in the second quarter. And it's 3rd down and 2. You throw to the end zone or throw for the first down?
Now they have plenty of time. They're going to go for the first.
It is incomplete. Tony Martin, the intended receiver. Interesting call.
Well, that was strange. What they were trying to do there is get a pick play, and Tony Martin comes back inside, and he jumps up. You know, what was funny is the way he ran the route. I'm not even sure he would have had the first down. Very curious route. From the right of your screen, you're going to see Tony Martin come in. Now, watch where his feet are. Look at that. They're still on the 20-yard line. The play started at about the 18 anyway, so even if he catches it, it's not going to be a first down. Give credit to Eugene Daniel there for a nice defensive play.
Stoyanovich with a 35-yard field goal attempt. He has hit from 35 yards already in this ball game. Well within his range. And a flag is down.
It's interesting. We're going to get the exact same call from the other side. Now, Mike Reichenbach is not going to agree with this, but he's going to claim that he hooked him. And once again, the referee makes the exact same call on the other end. They're going to call holding against Reichenbach.
Holding, number 52, 10 yards, still 4th down.
What they teach you as a flank on the side, you can see here, is that they teach you to bump inside and then bump outside because you have to deal with 2 guys. Now take a look at his arms. Do his arms come out? He bumps. Now he... Oh, yes, you got to call that. He's got his arm around the neck of Taylor, and he's got to call that. Nice call by the official, being right on top of it.
So now from 45 yards away, and it is bending left, and it is no good. So like what Todd was pointing out is the fact that earlier Dean Biasucci hit from 36 yards away for the Colts. They were called for holding. He then missed left from 46 yards away after the attempt. Same thing happens here to Stojanovic. Hits from 35, then misses left from 45, and the Colts take over at their own 28-yard line with 1:07 left to go in the first half, trailing 10-0.
Yeah, kind of like deja vu all over again, if you like to get into that sort of redundancy. The truth is that statistics will show that inside the 40-yard line is a much easier kick. There's a big drop-off of between 15 to 20% once you have to kick beyond 40 yards. And as we've seen on 2 separate occasions, that's what's happened. Misses.
The Colts now with their 2-minute offense. They open up with a pass completion to the 35-yard line to Anthony Johnson.
And of course, now this is where they rue taking those 2 earlier timeouts because they don't have them. They only have 1 timeout left, so they have to go with the hurry up, and they're spending the precious seconds.
2nd and 3. Good protection. First down, 40-yard line. This is Ken Clark, a gain of 5. And of course, you know they can spike it just to stop the clock. That's what he'll do here. Good call on first down. Gives you still 3 downs to work with, and if you can't do it in 3 downs in 30 seconds, you're going to be out of time anyway.
Yeah, but the problem is not that call, but the 2 calls before. It's all well and good to get a first down, but when the clock is running, you've got to take some chances downfield. 7-yard increments aren't going to do it with only 1 timeout left. So George is going to have to take a chance downfield to Verdun or Hester or Brooks here to get them in field goal range.
30 seconds left to go in the first half. High snap, but George pulls it down again with time. Now he goes deep, and it is pulled in by Brooks at the 35-yard line of the Dolphins.
Now he's motioning him there to come up, and he's going to spike the ball again, but I really think he'd have been better off if he'd have called timeout.
Maybe wanting to save the last timeout to bring a field goal team in, which most clubs like to do.
But see, the problem there, Charlie, is because it was such a far throw downfield, if he'd have turned right around to the official and called timeout, he'd have saved himself about 10 seconds. See, this is, first of all, a nice catch by George, and then a nice catch by Brooks in the middle of the field of the zone. Shows some vertical. Now watch, the linemen all have to come up here. At about that time, there's about 23 seconds left. Now there's only 12. They're only going to have 1 shot at getting it a little bit closer before Biasucci's going to have to kick a field goal.
Again, a one-hander. Pass is complete to the 29-yard line. It'll be a 46-yard attempt. They'll take the timeout. Ken Clark on the receiving end. Jarvis Williams with the tackle, and this will give us time now to take a complete look at our 10-minute ticker. In overtime, Washington with a field goal over the Oilers. Chicago defeats Detroit. Buffalo downs New England. San Francisco loses to Atlanta. Cincinnati with their first victory, this one over Cleveland. In overtime, the Jets defeat Green Bay. Minnesota downs Tampa Bay. Those are all the early games. Saints and Rams tied now in the second quarter. At halftime, Dallas leads Phoenix by 3. And here in the waning seconds of the first half, it is Miami 10, the Colts nothing with a field goal attempt still to come.
One thing I've never understood is that the quarterback has to be cognizant of the fact that he's got a soccer-style kicker, which means if you'll notice that both misses that Stoyanovich and Biasucci have had, they have hooked it. I think in a situation here where you know you want to kick the field goal, stay on the left hash for the natural hook of the soccer-style kicker.
47-yard attempt from the right hash. He's got it. And with 2 seconds left to go in the first half, the Colts are on the board. They pull within 7.
Charlie, as you mentioned, one of the big things about this kick is not only giving the Indianapolis Colts some momentum, but as you mentioned earlier, it keeps Eric Dickerson in the game. Take a look at Biasucci yards in the season. He had 6. Look at that, business as usual. Oh, he expected it.
And the coach's reaction, whoops. I think we lost there. There it is. Now we got our tape back. That coach is done it. There he is. The little man went down and he came up. We had to wait on him.
Well, they have to be happy with the fact that, you know, they had some really bad luck. Not only the holding call on the field goal, but the fumble on a 3rd down when they were driving. You know, the Colts really have pretty much stopped themselves, and I think they have to feel pretty good about themselves heading into the locker room at half.
And here with 2 seconds to go, they'll be kicking off, and you look for the squib-type kick. The ball touched to the field of play. The clock starts, and tick-tock, and we're out of here at halftime. And don't forget Domino's Pizza, NFL Live at halftime in New York. We gave you a quick rundown of the scores. They will give you all of the details of what has gone on in the National Football League this afternoon.
Interesting. Take a look, Charlie. You can see there on the front for the Miami Dolphins, you can see they have all their hands people up there. You can see Jensen, you see Clayton, you see Duper. They're not taking any chances. That's really heads up on the part of Don Shula there and the coaching staff to say, we're not taking any chances here. We're not going to fumble and give you a chance to kick a cheap field goal.
And Biasucci kicks it away. And it goes into the end zone for the touchback. We still have 2 seconds on the clock. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line, and Miami will have one play at least before the end of the first half.
Just for the sake of argument, why not try a pooch kick? I mean, kick it up in the air and give your team a chance to run underneath and maybe make the catch. I think that's what Miami was prepared for, but still, you know, it would have been good. You know, why not try it? There's only 2 seconds left. Give it a shot.
And here you expect just for Marino to kneel down and take the 2 seconds.
That was funny. You saw Rick Venturi pointing to the clock. He doesn't realize that nobody touched it, so with nobody touching the ball, the clock doesn't start. Now he's getting it explained to him. He goes, oh, okay, I get it.
If he listens to the tape, then he'll know. Back to the Hoosier Dome as we get ready to start the second half. Miami, led by Dan Marino. Up 10-3 over the Colts. Indianapolis will have the first opportunity on offense in the second half. The Colts have now gone 18 quarters, 47 offensive possessions without a touchdown, and this year they are yet to score a point in the 3rd quarter, so that does not bode well. But let's see what unfolds here for us. Stoyanovich kicking off, and Verdun fields it at the 4-yard line. And he goes out at just about the 19 or the 20-yard line as we now take a look at the Keystone Light halftime stats. Todd?
Well, one of the things that stands out here, or really the only thing that stands out, is Dan Marino's passing yardage, 151 yards. We mentioned that this has not been his best season. You know, he's on a pace this game to get 300, but his touchdown passes are down, his interceptions are up, and a lot of that has to do with the problems that they've had in the offensive line. But right now, his passing is leading the Dolphins to a 10-3 lead.
Colts from their own 19-yard line, and here's Eric Dickerson. Pretty good first half. He is out to the 20. He has a gain of a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9. Now, the quarterback of the Colts, as you know, is Jeff George. He wears number 11. Well, at halftime here, this is the punt, pass, and kick contest, and all of the kids were wearing number 11. And before the ball game, where they were all loosening up and they were showing them what to do and where to go, one of the fathers yelled out, "Way to go, number 11!" 2nd and 9. George, all the time in the world, and and the pass is caught. Hester makes a great grab.
Yeah, but I'm not sure he's glad he got back up again, because Mike Reichenbach really made him pay for it. Tremendous protection, as you mentioned. They're double teaming Jeff Cross. Sidearms it in there. Now watch him get up and watch number 52 say, hello.
Oh.
That's tough on that 175-pound body. Mike Reichenbach, former middle linebacker of the Philadelphia Eagles, there taking congratulations. He was in a 4-3 set there for Buddy Ryan in the old 46 days there for the green and white in the city of brotherly love.
3rd down and 4 at the 25-yard line. Hester coming in motion. George back to throw. Pass is complete to Hester, and he is out of bounds at the 39-yard line. So the Colts convert on a 3rd and 4. J.B. Brown chases him out. 1st down at the 39.
Jesse Hester's having a field day. This time he's able to take on Vesty Jackson. Again, Jeff George getting some time. Makes a nice throw. Look at how wide open he is. He weaved him by about 6 yards. Vesty, the former Chicago Bear, pushes him out of bounds, but not before Hester can get the 1st down.
One of the things that everybody that when they cover the Colts talk about, that is the grip of Jeff George when he throws. He has that index finger back on the tip of the ball. He got that from watching when he was 5 years old, a photo of Terry Bradshaw. Here's the pitch to Dickerson. And there he goes to the 41-yard line. A gain of a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Williams makes the tackle along with Odom. And we asked him when we talked to him about this yesterday, his hands are large. They said he's always had large hands. And it's easy for him to grip that way. When he tries to grip the ball the normal way on the laces, he says he just throws a wounded duck. And later in the afternoon, we asked Marino. Marino said, I don't see how he does it. My hands aren't big enough to throw it that way.
Well, when they spent the money on him a year ago when he was a rookie, it was a 5-year deal. Someone guesstimated between $13 and $16 million. I guess for those prices, you can hold it any way you want.
Here's Anthony Jackson to the 43-yard line. The rookie from Western Illinois, Brian Cox, stops him after he picks up 15.
This is an outside trap. Watch the left side of your line. Watch the right guard, William Schultz, pull out. Now watch the block that he puts on. Johnson does a nice job of following him. Crushes the strong safety, and Johnson cuts back. And except for the pursuit by David Griggs, he might have gone the distance.
Oliver is injured. We've got a timeout. Back in a moment.
And by Hertz, we never forget who made us #1. We're Hertz. We're America's wheel.
We are back. 1st down at the Miami 44-yard line. We'll give you a report on the injury to Oliver in just a moment, right after this play. Dickerson to the 40. Down at the 35-yard line. He picks up 9. It will be 2nd down and 1. Now, this is ugly. So if you don't want to see it, look away. We're only going to show it one time. We'll illustrate it. But this is ugly.
Take a look at the right knee right here of Oliver and watch when Griggs lands into it. If this is a movie rating, this would probably be PG-13. The right leg bends absolutely the wrong way. And you can see that is, for those uninitiated, that is a problem with the medial collateral ligament. But strangely enough, as we watch, Oliver came off the field under his own power, so we're hoping that all that is a sprain.
He did. He got up and walked off the field. You couldn't believe it. The 35-yard line. Pass is complete to Hester. Spins loose, and he's out of bounds. Inside the 22, 1st down.
As much as I complained earlier about some of the calls of the Colt offense, I like these. Here you come up, you have 2nd and 1. What the heck? Take a chance. Let's throw it downfield. Let's throw it to the guy who seems to be wearing out the Dolphins secondary, and that's Jesse Hester. Jesse Hester, actually a homeboy from that area. He is from Belle Glade, Florida, down South Florida way, and he's doing it to his childhood team.
Hester now 6 receptions, 84 yards. And it's a 1st down just outside the 21-yard line. Dickerson to the right. He's going to get a couple to the 19. It'll be 2nd down and 8 as Vesty Jackson makes the tackle. Now, we said a minute ago that Oliver got up and walked off the field. We have that on tape, and I tell you, I was really surprised. And he comes just limping slightly. And so that does bode well that it is not a major injury, and now he's coming back on the field.
Man, oh man, I tell you what, don't tell me that today's players are not tough. I hear that all the time about, you know, the old-time players. Man, oh man, that looked to me like one of those career enders. You know, your knee going a completely different way. He's back up. Look at those statistics too. They need the leading tackler as well. Wow.
And 2 of those 3 interceptions 2 weeks ago against Warren Moon. Of course, in the open date last week, George scrambles for time, and it is incomplete over the head of Verdun, but George was running out of time. It'll be 3rd down and 8. The ball back at the 19-yard line.
We'll try to keep an eye on you for Louis Oliver to see how his mobility is affected there in the secondary. If I was Jeff George, if there's some way to pick on him here, you might want to do it.
This is the 10th play of the drive that started back at the Colts 19. It's consumed almost 5.5 minutes opening the second half. 3rd down and 8. And a flag is down. Free play. Dickerson with the reception close to the first down. A Dolphin was in the neutral zone. So if it is not a first down, Indianapolis will have another chance at it.
Well, Pat Beach, the tight end, is saying that it is a first down, and you're right. It is a free play. That was a terrific catch by Eric Dickerson. I got to tell you, I never figured Dick for having those kind of hands, but he reached back and made a very nice catch. The ball's behind him. Take a look sidearm. Now watch when he reaches back. That's an excellent catch by Eric Dickerson.
Offside. Number 91 on the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
That is Dickerson's 33rd reception of the season. And the first down. At the 11-yard line. And again, the Colts have not scored a touchdown in 18 quarters, in 47 possessions. And if they score one here, you can look for flags, because believe me, there'll be a celebration. Anthony Johnson to the 8-yard line.
That's funny that you'd say that because I did notice in some of the things that I was reading that every receiver and every offensive lineman said, hey, don't even bother. The flags will go all over the place if we score. There will be no difficult interpretation here. If we punch it into the end zone, we'll definitely take the penalty.
And a touchdown and an extra point, in addition, would tie the game at 10. 8:37 and counting. Time remaining. 3rd quarter, Hoosier Dome. Dolphins and the Colts. Play action. End zone. Good defensive play. Hester, the intended receiver. Was it Oliver that knocked it away?
Certainly was. Number 25 made a good play. He looked like he was limping just a little bit, but that was a terrific reaction by Louis Oliver. They went in motion, faked the trap, and there's a slant play, and if he doesn't get his hands on it, you can see there Jesse Hester has J.B. Brown beat by about 2 steps, and it would have been a touchdown.
So it's 3rd down and 7, the ball at the 8.
One of the things the Colts have been struggling with is time of possession, but they've taken off nearly 7 minutes of the clock here in this drive alone.
Incomplete at the 4. Hester, the intended receiver. Reichenbach was there. And the field goal team will come out.
That look by Rick Venturi says it all right there, that frustration. They really wanted to get that one in the end zone. But I'm surprised there because of the fact that even if Jesse makes the catch, he's still going to be out of the end zone, and they're not close to a first down. So that was a curious decision there by George. See Rick Venturi, what's his reaction to this situation? Oh, gosh, got to kick another field goal. Oh, boy.
An attempt of 25 yards by Dean Biasucci. He is hit from 47, missed from 46 in this game. And he has it from 25. The score, Miami 10 and the Colts 6. Time remaining, 3rd quarter. The Colts pull within 4, but they are turned away in their attempt for a touchdown. The ball kind of fell off of the tee, so Dean Biasucci doesn't kind of fall off. It did fall off the tee, and he'll be kicking off to either Aaron Craver or Mark Logan. And the Dolphins with their first opportunity on offense in the second half. Craver will down it in the end zone for the touchback. Will bring it out to the 20-yard line. So now let's check the Hertz 10-minute ticker. These are the late games only. New Orleans leading the Rams by 7. Dallas leading Phoenix by 10. And here it is Miami 10 and the Colts 6 with now 8:11 left to go in the third as Miami starts from their own 20-yard line first down.
For the Colt faithful here, this would be a good time for the crowd to get into the game.
Jamie Smith is the running back. And the crowd is in the game. And Marino changes the play and scrambles out to the right. And it is incomplete. Clayton thought he had it, but he did not. And you could credit at least part of that to the crowd here in the Hoosier Dome for their reaction when the opposition was on offense.
And good pursuit there by Donnell Thompson. One of the problems that the Dolphins have had this year with 5 different offensive linemen is that Marino has been sacked 15 times already in the first half of the season. Last year in 1990, he was only sacked 15 times the entire year. He was lucky just to get that one away. Nice job by the Colt defense.
And Donnell Thompson told us that we need to get our fans involved. We need to turn our fans on. Well, they certainly have here. Marino over the middle. It is complete to Tony Page. Page across the 40 out to the 45-yard line. A gain of 25 yards on the play, and that will take the fans out of the game in a hurry.
Now, this is a poor job by Jeff Herrod. Watch left of your screen. Watch 54 come flying out. He has him in man coverage, but he overruns him. And that way, Tony Page is able to cut back to the middle of the field, and you're right. That's better than laryngitis where a crowd is concerned. A 25-yard gain. You see a little bit disappointed in himself. They really had it working, but he just overran it a little bit. And give Tony Page credit. He's a man that has come up with some clutch plays for the Dolphins in the past.
Play action fake. Marino throws it as he is going down. The Colts think that he is down, but he has such a quick release that he is halfway to the ground, still fires it close to Tony Page, and it will go as an incompletion.
Charlie, that's all well and good that it's a quick release, but this is intentional grounding. Where is he throwing it? Let's see right here. He's going down. He's just trying to get rid of it. He just wants to get rid of the ball. And you're right about a quick release, and let me tell you something. Reputation helps. The referees and everybody else know that he has a quick release, so they feel like he could get away with that. If it's not going to be in the grass, that certainly could have been intentional grounding.
2nd and 10. Here is Mark Clayton. Clayton, born in Indianapolis, attended Cathedral High School here. Big fan here. His high school, by the way, is a record of 8-2. And these are the numbers coming in today.
That's amazing right there. That touchdown reception all-time NFL record, that supersedes a lot of great combinations. People like Johnny Unitas to Ray Berry, people like Jerry Rice from Joe Montana. 69 touchdown receptions, an all-time NFL record. And Mark Clayton right there showed that he wasn't just quick, but he was strong as he carried the defender on his back for an extra 2 yards.
3rd down and 2. Gibson in motion. Gibson is open. He goes. He was looking downfield for Tony Martin, and Martin got either picked or screened and couldn't find his way out of the crowd.
I'll tell you what happened there, Charlie. What Martin was doing was screening Jeff Herrod off of Jim Jensen. You're going to see he's going to throw, and watch 89 and 54 face-to-face. Jeff Herrod has Jensen in coverage right here. Look, you can see at the top of the screen, but he can't get out to the flat because Martin ran into him. If ever there would have been a flag in that case, it would have been offensive pass interference because Martin definitely tried to pick Herrod.
Fourth down, Reggie Roby to kick. Alan Grant is the return man. Fair catch is called for. And Grant takes it at about the 18-yard line. We've got a timeout. Miami has the lead. We'll be back in a moment. The head coach of the Colts congratulating his defense. He told us yesterday that they're going to try and force Marino out of his rhythm.
You know what I like, though, Charlie? I like the enthusiasm of the head man. I realize that the head man has a certain stature in the National Football League, but I like to see him that excited, and certainly the players are willing to give it up for Venturi.
Colts first down, 18-yard line. They trail by 4. Here's Dickerson. Has 2 yards to the 20, and there's a flag down.
It's funny, behind the line there, Pat Beach is telling the crowd to settle down. That's funny. I bet he hasn't had to do that all season, huh?
Red Cashin is
there he is. You can see him muting the crowd.
You have to learn to make the noise when they're at the line of scrimmage, not when we're at the line of scrimmage.
Number 69 on the offense. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
That's on Randy Dixon, the brand new father today. In case you joined us late, his wife Patricia gave birth to their first child, a daughter, Desiree, at 1 o'clock this afternoon. He was at the hospital, rushed over here to start the ballgame. First and 19 at the 9. Johnson to the outside, back to the 20-yard line. He got 11. It will be second down and 8.
Charlie, 2 weeks ago, rather, when the Colts played the Jets, Anthony Johnson had a pretty good game. He had 10 carries for 51 yards. And when you consider a team that has only been averaging 56 yards rushing per game last in the National Football League, he is really a comer as a player goes. And as we mentioned earlier, he has good hands coming out of the backfield with 41 catches. So they might have a real player there, the heir apparent to Dickerson and Anthony Johnson.
Johnson carries again, and he is stopped at the 20. It'll be third down and 8. And so Clark comes in, alongs with Clarence Verdun, and they will go to the passing set. Kevin Call is the injured player, the only offensive lineman to start every game for the Colts, and he told us yesterday that he was very optimistic about today's game. As we come back, the Colts have had problems scoring touchdowns.
Well, not only problems scoring touchdowns, scoring points in general. Take a look at that at the bottom. They haven't even averaged 7 points a game. And as you mentioned earlier, all of those possessions and quarters lacking a touchdown.
Third down and 8 at the 20-yard line. Hester comes in motion. He has been the hot receiver. They go to Hester, has it at the 25-yard line. That'll be about 3 yards shy of the first down. It'll be fourth down.
That was a mistake by Jesse Hester. What happens when you run in motion like that and run the route is sometimes you're a little bit deceived as to where you are on the field. When he ran upfield and made his break, he assumed that he was at the first down marker, but in reality, as you mentioned, he was 2 yards short, and that means they're going to have to punt. That's Jeff George's primary receiver. That's not his fault. The receiver has to be cognizant of where he is at the first down marker, and Jesse was short that time.
Ron Stark is kicking. Here's pressure. He gets it away. Scott Miller is the return man. He calls for a fair catch and takes it at the 38-yard line. 37 yards on the kick. Talking about the lack of scoring for the Colts here in the third quarter. Dean Biasucci's 25-yard field goal has been their only scoring this year in 8.5 games, 8 and almost 3/4 games of the season.
That's amazing. That really is.
Makes you not want to come out at halftime. Well, you guys go ahead. I'll join you in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. From their 37, and they open with Sammy Smith for a couple. He has
2 to the 39. It's second down and 8. And time now for our second Xerox Sports Facts. Who is the only player in the National Football League to rush, pass, and return a kickoff? Rush, pass, and return a kickoff for a touchdown in a single game. Good question. We'll have the answer for you in a moment. Give you a little time to mull that over. And now the crowd back into the ball game here with 3:15 and counting, time remaining, third quarter. Play action fake to Smith. Marino steps away from a player who had grabbed his jersey. The pass is complete. A flag is down. Clayton had it, hit by Eugene Daniel. And then we'll check out the marker.
Earlier we showed the connection. What that happens here is that when the guy starts to scramble, you have the receiver that knows he's in trouble and comes back to the ball. And that's exactly what Mark Clayton did there to help out Marino. Did a good job of coming back to the ball and helping Marino avoid a sack.
The call going against the Colts.
Illegal contact, number 38 on the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
The call against Eugene Daniel, who had the coverage. They take the play. It's a first down.
Nobody's ever accused Dan Marino of being another Randall Cunningham or Steve Young, but it isn't just the offensive line that does a nice job of protecting him from the sack. Watch he uses his feet and how he buys time. He's quick. He's not fast. And, of course, at 6'4", 225 pounds, he's not easily pulled down.
First down, 48-yard line of the Colts. Miami leading 10-6. Marino wants to go deep. He comes over the middle. Almost intercepted. Chip Banks had it, couldn't hold on to it. It'll be second down.
Part of the problem when you have the great arm is you think you can throw it through the eye of the needle. Right there over the hands of Jeff Herrod, but Banks is in a trail position. He's not covering Clayton man for man. He has zone help deep. What they have him doing is running around with him all over the field, enabling them to double cover him. And if he'd had his hands going the other direction, he might have had the pick.
Smith, and there's just a couple, maybe three, will give him to the 45. It'll be third down and 7. John Hand with the tackle. And now let's go back to our Xerox Sports Facts. The question, who is the only player in the NFL to rush, pass, and return a kickoff for a touchdown in a single game? And the answer is Joe Washington when he was with the Colts, 1978 against the New England Patriots. That's quite a feat.
Yeah, it is. I remember it was a rainy night up there. It was a terrific game. The Monday night game, he really put on a show. Joe in his silver shoes.
Here comes the blitz. Marino throws it as he was going down. It is incomplete. It'll be fourth down. Rick Venturi yesterday told us that he would blitz Marino with great discretion. This time it worked.
Well, this is the same blitz that they've been coming with on third down. Both inside backers, Bickett and Herrod, come in. Right? That could arguably be in the grasp there, but the referee doesn't call it. A lot of pressure. And now, once again, the Colts force the Dolphins to punt.
And Roby is kicking to Verdun. Catch is called for and taken at the 24, the 25-yard line as we now check in with the Hertz 10-minute ticker. New Orleans leading the Rams by 7 in the third quarter. Dallas up 10 over Phoenix in the fourth quarter. And here the score is Miami 10, Indianapolis 6 with 1 minute and 44 seconds left to go in the third.
Charlie, Clarence Verdun made an excellent play right there. A lot of times that sort of thing gets unnoticed. So what? Big deal. It was just a fair catch. He fair catches that ball on the 25-yard line, but he was standing at about the 12. If he opts not to run up there and make that catch, he ends up just letting the ball bounce, and that can roll down to about the 4 or 5-yard line. So Verdun actually saved his team about 15 to 20 yards in field position by hustling up and making that fair catch.
And they start from the 25. Here's Dickerson. He just keeps plowing. He picks up 4. There was really about 2 yards there, and he picks up a couple more to the 29.
Charlie, with that carry right there, that 4-yard carry, Eric Dickerson is the first runner in National Football League history to have 5,000 yards with 2 separate teams. Now, it's interesting, you know, as a player, they used to say about people that had reputations, they say, oh, yeah, that guy's good, but he's good in that system. Eric Dickerson has proven his greatness by being the only man in history to do that. 5,000 yards with 2 separate teams. That is very impressive.
First with the Rams, now with the Colts. It's 2nd and 6. Little swing pass to Dickerson outside. And he's got the first down. He's out at the 36-yard line. Cliff Odom was chasing him. Channel 13, our affiliate here in Indianapolis, earlier asked Dickerson if he was going to have another 100-yard game.
Yeah, I wonder if I'll see a 100-yard game this year. But the thing about that is, I'll take all the blame for it. I mean, that's the killing part. You know, being a running back, you take all the blame. It's like you're supposed to make holes and openings where there are none. But, you know, I guess that's just part of it.
And no question that is part of it. As we come back, Johnson carries. He's going to lose a yard back to the 36.
Yeah, but
it'll be 2nd down and 11.
You know, Charlie, I wanted to make the point that the flip side of that argument is to say, hey, Eric, the 61 times you did have 100-yard games, you took the credit. So, you know, the flip side of that is you got to take some of the blame as well. And yes, he's right. They have struggled on the offensive line. But then again, he is somebody that has taken a great deal of accolades for the number of times he did have century mark games.
Eric Elsie and Laura still believe. The Colts, they are 0-8. They trail by 4 as we start the 4th quarter. Miami leads 10-6. Jeff George has completed 14 of 22. He has thrown for 151 yards. Little pump fake left, rolls out right. He has pressure, and he's throwing this away. He had Pat Beach in the neighborhood, but he was just avoiding the loss.
One of those times where the defense is exactly where it should be. The idea there with a 3-step drop was a quick throw, but they had a rolled-up zone, and the cornerbacks come up right there. He's going to throw, and uh-oh, now there's no place to go. Now, you see Beach running towards you. He's not a primary receiver. And so, fortunately for him, he was close enough that he could throw the ball and avoid intentional ground and give that man right there, defensive coordinator Tom Olivadotti, credit for being in the right scheme at the right time.
3rd down and 11. 6 in the secondary for Miami. Johnson started too soon. And that'll cost him an automatic 5.
It looked to me like the Colts were trying to catch the Dolphins in a substitution. They were too big of a hurry. Yeah, that's not a good thing. You concern yourself with your group and your offense, not trying to get a cheap 5-yard penalty.
Before the snap, number 23 and number 79, false start on the offense. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Bubba Paris now replacing Randy Dixon. You can see in motion there's too many people moving. That's fine if we're north of the border in Canada where you can get away with that, but here south of the border you can't do that. Hence the reason now it's 3rd and 16.
And you may recall that Kevin Call was shaken up earlier in the ballgame. He is back in at right tackle for the Colts. 3rd and long. George throws. The pass is complete, but way short of the first down. He goes to Anthony Johnson, and then he is chased out of bounds. It'll be 4th down.
Jeff Cross did a nice job putting the pressure on George, forcing him to run left and throw across his body. He was able to complete it, as you mentioned, but far short. Now they're putting a lot of pressure on Ron Stark to give him a long-distance punt and pin the Dolphins down. And they're part of the territory, and certainly he could do it. Ron Stark is the 4th all-time leading punter in the history of the National Football League. That's not one of his better ones.
And it goes out of bounds at the 30-yard line. So now let's check the Schick Tracer 10-minute ticker. And we'll look now at all the scores. In overtime, the Redskins defeated the Oilers 16-13. Chicago defeated Detroit. Buffalo defeated New England 22-17. Atlanta over San Francisco by 3. Cincinnati, their first victory of the year over Cleveland. In overtime, the Jets defeated Green Bay. Minnesota down Tampa Bay. In the fourth quarter, New Orleans leading the Rams, Dallas leading Phoenix, and here it is Miami 10 and Indianapolis 6 with 14:21 to go in the ball game. Reno with a little play action fake, has pressure, then he drops it off to Tony Page, and Page gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Heads-up play by Marino there. Tony Page was the man actually blocking on Bickett. When Bickett beat him, Page comes out and decides to be a receiver, and he saved about 8 yards there because Marino would have been sacked by Bickett. I like Tony Page. He's another one of those tough guys who plays fullback, blocks a lot, doesn't get his hands on the ball a lot, but is vital to the offense because the holes he creates for the likes of Sammy Smith and Mark Higgs.
Mark Higgs now in that offensive set. It is second down and 10. Little swing outside to Tony Page, and he is out to the 35-yard line. It'll be third down and 5. Let's take a flashback to Super Bowl 7. And this is a Bob Greasy to Howard Twilley 28-yard touchdown pass in the first quarter, and that started the Dolphins on their way to that 14-7 victory over the Redskins and a perfect 17-0 season. And Washington, the last team that Miami defeated to reach 17-0. And today in overtime, Washington remains undefeated as they down Houston in overtime by 3.
Interesting touch of irony, isn't it?
Third and 5. Pass is complete to Tony Martin for the first down.
I don't know what Dan Marino was gesticulating there at the line of scrimmage, but it's funny because his arms were going up and down, and he somehow was able to communicate to the center, Jeff Uhlenek, not to hike the ball until he was good and ready. Oftentimes, they can get confused by crowd noise, but Marino's waving his arms, pointing around. He did a nice job of being in control there on the third down play.
Uhlenek, the center, born in Indianapolis, has about 80 members of his family here, so he's looking for a quick reunion after the ball game before he flies home. So he's going to be introducing himself to about half of them, but he hasn't met them all yet. And here is Hicks, juggles it over his shoulder, winds it, and goes to the 50-yard line. It'll be second down and 7. Program note here on NBC Sports. Doubleheader weekend next week. Many of you to see Buffalo versus Green Bay or Indianapolis and the Jets in the first half. And then the second half of the doubleheader, most of you to see the Raiders at Denver. A few watching on satellite might possibly pick up the Kansas City Ram game. We mentioned that because Dan Marino's father watching today on satellite, as he does. Perhaps if he's not busy next Sunday, he'll join Todd and myself at Anaheim. Here's Higgs. Flag is down. Higgs with that big run. He has a great burst of speed to the outside. He crosses the 30-yard line. It is holding against the Dolphins. This is a historical note. This is the first time this year that an opponent of the Colts has been called for offensive holding.
And Rick Venturi made the point to us when he was talking about it as we get the number.
Run. Number 62 on the offense. Still second down.
Galbraith, Terry Galbraith.
He was saying that, you know, in this day and age, when they've made the rules lax where the guy can stick his hands out and grab and do whatever it is he wants, everybody is cognizant of the fact that this can be called on almost every play. And his point to us, which was well-founded, is that in 8 games, how come not one time could it be called against us? And now it goes 8 games in 3 quarters. That's the first time all season, as you see there on the graphic. That's amazing.
And penalties, 4th on Miami for 30 yards, Colts 3 times for 24. A game free for flag. Second and 17. Reno's pass is low. It is incomplete. He was going to Duper. I think Duper was more open than he thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he's not very happy with himself. He knew that he had time to get it in there, and he just, as they say, short-armed a little bit. Watch as he comes forward. He's feeling the rush from the right, but he knows he's got time. Right here, right in the middle of the field. He comes across just a little bit, not quite full motion. You can see he's not happy with himself. Doggone it.
Third down and 17. A lot of time remaining. 10:43 still to go in the fourth quarter. Jensen is in along with 4 wide receivers. Off of the back of Chris Good. Clayton, the intended receiver. It'll be 4th down, and Roby will kick.
You saw the smile on Good's face when he turned around. He got a little bit confused. And look, this is a nice throw, but it hits him right between the 3 and the 7, but the wrong team. Clayton sat down, and Good was totally guessing on that. He guessed on a hook pattern, and he was exactly right. Oh, my.
Oh, beauty. Verdun at the 7 to the 10, has a block. He's to the 20 and is smothered at the 23-yard line. Miami leads it 10-6. We'll be back in a moment. With a 53-yard kick, 15 yards on the return by Verdun. Colts have the ball at their own 23-yard line, first down. Miami leads it 10-6. Johnson, and a flag is down. And this is a situation where the Colts offensive line cannot, but they did hold.
Well, what this does is now they set up 1st and 20 again, as they did on their series before, and that forces them to get into a throwing situation. You can see the frustration on the part of George.
Holding during the run. Number 81 of the offense. 10 yards, still first down.
That's Pat Beach, the tight end there, who was caught holding. Take a look at Venturi's reaction. That holding play. He just, you know what, this is what frustrates the coach more than anything. Physical errors are going to happen, but when you have mental errors like this, you got to be heads up and realize that you can't get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, particularly here when you have your running game working a little bit.
And that's what Jeff George basically told us the same thing yesterday when we talked to him. He said, missed assignments, the holding penalties, that bothers me more than anything else. You're going to get beat every once in a while. I'll get sacked, you can take that. But the mental mistakes, that's hard to overcome. And it is incomplete. And a flag is down. They're going to call pass interference against Miami. And that will carry with it an automatic first down.
You can see that Jarvis Williams isn't complaining much, but the strange thing about it, the good fortune for the Colts there, is that is going to be an automatic first down. And the ball really wasn't catchable. Billy Brooks has to lay out even to come close to it.
Pass interference. Number 26 on the defense. First down.
Over the back, you can see Jarvis Williams. You know, I'm not so sure. That was actually a pretty good play, but if you're Jarvis, you sit back and maybe let him have the 8-yard catch and make the tackle. Sometimes you can get away with that kind of coverage, but in this case, 2 officials didn't agree with it. And there's a man right there that wasn't very happy with the play of Jarvis Williams.
And that was at 1st and 20. Now it's a 1st and 10. And Dickerson is cut down by Jarvis Williams. When we talked with Eric yesterday, a couple of weeks ago, we were in here for the ball game, and Eric told us that his mom was in town visiting, and he had her do all of the shopping because he didn't even want to go to the grocery store. But he said, now that she's gone back, I do the grocery shopping, but I put on my stern look so that nobody bothers.
And one of the things that we also talked to him 2 weeks ago was the fact that he wondered if he had any regrets. We'll follow up this story a little bit when we come back after this commercial message.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by the new Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now. By Liberty Mutual. We're our customers' advocate at Liberty Mutual because we understand the costs involved. And by Peak, the heavy-duty engine antifreeze.
2nd and 11. Little swing to Dickerson, and he drops it. It's incomplete. A flag downfield at about the 30-yard line.
I think what they're going to call is they're going to call Jesse Hester because that was a design play to go to Dickerson. I think they're going to call him for offensive pass interference.
Meanwhile, Jarvis Williams was complaining that was a backward pass, and that's something that the Colts have been right on that borderline of a lateral in the backfield. And of course, if it is not caught, it is still a live ball.
This makes for an interesting call by Tom Olivedati and the defensive people here for the Dolphins as to whether or not they want to take this penalty or force a 3rd and 12. Now they're looking over. What's he going to do? They're really thinking about this because, of course, they could really play the field position game and punch him back. But, you know, there you can see right there with the fingers up, that's not the okay sign. He wants 3rd down. There you can see now they finally got it relayed. Yeah, okay, fellas. Refuse the penalty. We'll take 3rd.
Offensive pass interference, number 82. That penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
They don't have an 82 on the roster. He meant 84, Jesse Hester there. So now we're going to see whether or not this pass was a pass. Where are his feet? He throws from the 19-yard line. Let's see where the ball ends up. Okay, well, the ball would have ended up on about the 17-yard line, but when Dickerson pulled it around to the front and dropped it, that made it look like an incomplete pass, but in reality, he did throw that behind. So the Colts got a break there. Jarvis Williams had a legitimate complaint.
And it's 3rd and 11. He did not get anybody. Almost did. He's in the end zone, turns and throws. Now he is getting rid of it to save a possible safety. Ken Clark was nearby, but he was just throwing that one up for grabs.
Charlie, can there be any debate that that was intentional grounding? The ball is on the 21-yard line. He's from the end zone. He throws it into the middle. Now see if there's anybody there at all. Take a look.
Clark was in the neighborhood. But there's no question that, you know, I'm in trouble, I'm throwing.
But the official right there, he's watching the quarterback the entire, see right there, he goes and points. Now watch at the end of the throw. Watch what he does with his left arm and points.
Well, he missed it.
That's not Ken Clark. He's getting rid of that. He points immediately to say to the official, hey, there was somebody out there.
Here is the kick by Ron Stark. Fair catch is taken by Scott Miller. And the Dolphins have excellent field position. Back in a moment. Left to go in the ball game. The Dolphins start this drive just outside of their own 42-yard line. Excellent field position. They lead 10-6 over the Indianapolis Colts. Here is Mark Higgs with those fresh legs. He goes to the 48-yard line. That's a gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
You know, Dan Marino has been the subject of a number of articles this week in periodicals, both in Sport Magazine and Sports Illustrated. One thing I couldn't resist, I had to tease him about this, was in the Sports Illustrated article, his mother mentioned how sensitive he was, that when he watched episodes of Lassie, he actually cried. So naturally yesterday when I'm amongst the football players and all of that false machismo, I pulled him aside and said, hey buddy, which episodes made you cry? And he looked me right in the eye and he says, all of them. He wasn't embarrassed about that at all.
Here is Higgs again. This time he is shut down after a gain of a yard. And it'll be 3rd down and 4. John Hand got him. As we check now the Cannon 10-minute ticker. And the scores. Saints leading the Rams by 7 in the 4th quarter. Dallas by 20 over Phoenix in the 4th. And here it is Miami by 4 over the Colts 10-6 with 8 minutes to go in the ball game. 3rd down and 4. Marino throws for the 1st down to Fred Banks. Now, throughout a game, plays get lost as to what was the turning point or what was a big play. But there is a situation, 3rd and 4. If Marino does not convert to the 1st down, then they give up the ball to the Colts with a lot of time remaining.
It's interesting to me that, you think about it, when they put him on procedural waivers, you would have thought, hey, no big deal. But now that is the third time on crucial third down catches that Freddie Banks has come through with a big grab.
At the Colt 43-yard line, first down, Miami. Clock now moving on the 7-minute mark. Again, dropped underneath the coverage, this time to Tony Page to the 35-yard line. A gain of 8, second down and 2. And the clock just ticking away. The friend of the Dolphins, Scott Radisick, with the tackle.
Charlie, I would agree with you that really was a big catch, because now with the clock moving at 6:40 and counting, the Dolphins can be conservative here, not to take too many chances, get down and kick a field goal and put the onus once again upon the offense of the Colts.
And again, the Colts have gone 19 quarters without scoring a touchdown, and a field goal would take the margin up to 7 points. Here is Higgs, and there's nothing there. It'll be third down and short as Travis Davis made the tackle. Miami, the favorite coming into this ball game, and earlier on in the telecast, Todd alluded to the fact that they do have a favorable remaining schedule. Only Buffalo and Chicago have winning records, and so they could finish very strongly.
Interestingly, outside of those two teams on the remaining schedule, their records are 9 and 32. So, it's still within the realm of possibility, despite their 3 and 5 record, that they could be in the hunt for the playoffs. But hey, this game's still going on. We'll see what happens here.
Quarterback draw all the way out of a shotgun. And I was wondering the look. I'd like to see the look of Marino when that play was signaled in from the sideline.
One of the things you do with
the quarterback shaking his head. Oh, wait a minute.
That's obviously a play that he doesn't use too often, because oh, really? Tell me something I don't know,
We
Todd.
may not see it till next year.
Quarterback draw, you're supposed to take a step back and fool somebody. He fools absolutely nothing. And since Dan Marino's 40 time can be timed with a sundial, he's not able to get the first down.
Field goal attempt. They're going to punt here, but a field goal attempt, in case you're wondering, would be in the mid-50 range. And straight up and straight down. This is what they want. Oh, that's a great kick. Exactly what the Dolphins wanted. And it goes out at the 12-yard line.
People might argue the point there, Charlie, because of the fact that Pete Stoyanovich has kicked, and I'm sure they remember this in the Kansas City game. I believe it was a 58-yard field goal. That certainly it is within his range, but if by chance they attempt a 53, 54-yarder and he misses, that gives the Colts excellent field position at the 36-yard line and a shorter field to run. Don Shula opts to make the decision to make an offense that, as you mentioned, has not scored a touchdown in 19 quarters, now go 88 yards and beat them. And with 4:41 now, the burden of the offense rests sorely on the shoulders of number 11, Jeff George.
He starts from the 12-yard line. Miami leads by 4, 10-6. Dickerson, and he is stopped at the 15-yard line, gain of 3, second down and 7. And by the way, in the past, you did an instructional video cassette with Eric Dickerson.
Yeah, that's right. It was interesting that he taught them how to run, and I guess I taught them how to catch. I don't know how many, I don't know how many people found that edifying or educational.
Did it make the top 10 list?
No. Jane Fonda had me whipped on that one.
Eric now 17 rushes for 63 yards. George with protection goes deep. This one is intercepted. He threw into triple coverage, and Louis Oliver, and remember earlier we thought he might be out for the rest of the season with an injury, came back in, has the interception. That is his 4th of the year.
Well, that's terrific for Louis Oliver, but it wasn't exactly a brilliant athletic play. Jeff George, as you mentioned, just throws into coverage. He's looking around, can't make a decision, just gets rid of it, tries to drill it in there. There's nobody there, absolutely nobody there. And Louis Oliver makes a nice catch, and that's a run back. But that was Jeff George's fault all the way. Bad decision throwing that into triple coverage.
Billy Brooks was in the neighborhood, but he was about 3 blocks away in the neighborhood. He wasn't even close. And so Miami has the ball at the Colt 22-yard line, first down with 3:47 remaining and the lead. Clayton is in motion. The give is to Higgs. And he is a couple of yards to the 20. It'll be second down and 8. Dwayne Bickett with the tackle.
You know, one thing here you have to give credit to is the defense of the Indianapolis Colts. You know, it's too easy when you're 0-8 to just show up, get your paycheck, and go through the motions. But, you know, when you hold the team, at least thus far, to 10 points, you do a nice job of shutting off the running game, put the pressure on Dan Marino. Now that bodes well for the future of this organization when you got defenders that are willing to play like that, play in and play out.
Marino, incomplete. Higgs, the intended receiver. And it was Chip Banks who was all over his jersey. It'll be third down.
Of course, this is a judgment call, but Red Cashin has not been obliged to call too many in the grass. Take a look at Chip Banks right here. The shirt and the body, bringing him down, and he gets rid of it. I've seen a lot of situations where that's called, but Red has opted today to be a little bit more liberal with it and give him credit. He's been consistent. Chip Banks a little bit frustrated that he didn't get the sack there.
I like that call, though. Let him play.
I agree. No, I'm with you totally on that.
And he has been consistent. That's the whole key. Yes. Third down and 8. And it's dropped by Mark Clayton. It'll be fourth down and 8, and Stoyanovich will come in this time with a field goal attempt.
And speaking of consistent, Charlie, once again, the Indianapolis Colts come with that inside blitz. Both Jeff Herrod and Dwayne Bickett put the pressure on Marino. And even if Clayton does come up with a catch, he was 2 yards short. Now, this has to be a little bit of a morale victory here for the defense, not simply because of the fact that they played well, but as you mentioned earlier, they're still within a touchdown. So after he kicks the field goal, they'll have approximately 2 minutes and 52 or 2:53 to go the length of the field and tie this game up.
37-yard attempt. And it is no good from 37 yards away. So Stoyanovich has missed from 45 and 37. He is hit from 35. Again, the margin is 4. And so the Colts had the same challenge this time for the victory rather than to tie and take the ball game into overtime.
You know, it's interesting because heading into this game, Charlie, Stoyanovich was 12 of 13. The only miss he had been a 58-yarder, and he picked the wrong time there to miss. You can see by his reaction. He hooks it, shorts a little bit. He knows right there after he kicks it. Ouch. Colts on the other side have a slightly different reaction. Look at Coach Venturi and his staff. Yes, indeed. He still got a shot at it.
Colts now from their own 20-yard line. This is their 11th offensive possession today. Pass is complete to Clark. Clark to the 30, out to the 37-yard line. J.B. Brown makes the tackle. 19 quarters and 52 possessions without a touchdown.
But you know, Charlie, Jeff George here is in the hurry-up mode, but he really doesn't have to be. They're on the 38-yard line, and the clock is 2:27, as you see, and counting. He can take his time. He should be making sure that everybody has the play together. They're on the same page.
Tim Clark out of bounds. First down, 48-yard line.
Charlie, this is where Jeff George is most effective. You know, coming into this game, people don't realize he has a completion percentage of 65%. That would be a Colt record. But one of the things he does not do is get the ball downfield as effectively as witnessed by his only 6 yards per attempt. Now, they're in a situation with the time that he can just dink and dunk it all the way down the field. Knocked
away. And again, he was forcing it into quadruple coverage.
There are an awful lot of people around Billy Brooks in that situation. You know, Ken Clark made a couple of nice moves. You know, the Dolphins have to be concerned with getting the ball downfield. I'm surprised he didn't stay with that. Now look at all the people that are around Billy Brooks. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see there's a lot of people waiting for him. And there at the top of your screen, you can see Ken Clark open. Even though he's only going to get 8 yards, that's okay because they got plenty of time.
2:11 left. Second down and 10. George 17 of 30, 184 yards, 1 interception. That one by Louis Oliver. Has time, now pressure, and throws it away. It'll be third down and 10. 48-yard line. E.J. Jr. was putting the pressure on Pat Beach, the closest receiver, but in reality he was avoiding any loss. And again, I wonder why they didn't go back to what you were talking about. Those short 5, 6, 7-yard passes. They got plenty of time. Still 2:04 left, and they've got timeouts working for them.
Well, give credit to Tom Olivadotti here for putting in his dime package. Now with the extra defensive backs, they decide that they're going to single up on Clark instead of just going with the zone coverage. And as a result, he's had to force the ball downfield, even though he has had some pretty good protection here this series.
Third down. Clark has it. He is out of bounds at the 47-yard line of Miami, so it'll be 4th down and 5. And the 2-minute warning will now be given to both benches. We'll step aside, and
the coordinator of the Colts has to come up with a big one here on 4th down and 5, the last chance for Indy.
Pressure from the outside. It is low. It is incomplete to Clark. Miami takes over on down.
Again, it's interesting, the chess match that can be professional football. We gave you a shot earlier of Milt Jackson, what it is he had called. Tom Olivadotti went with a very unique play there. He came with a corner blitz. That was Bestie Jackson who came in from the left of your screen, number 24. He can't be blocked because, of course, he's a cornerback. There's nobody on him except a receiver. He makes George hurry it just a little bit. He throws it a little bit too low. Clark can't come up with it, and that's the ball game for the Dolphins.
1:43 left. Miami has the ball at their own 47-yard line. And Mark Higgs to the Colt 44. Where it'll be second down, and the Colts stop the clock with a timeout. We'll be back in just a moment.
Bit by bit.
The Xerox guarantee is no ordinary guarantee.
I said show me, and he did.
It says Xerox will replace any product for any reason at your request for 3 years.
It all depends on execution.
It's about a relationship that makes your satisfaction the measure of everything we do. It's the words we live by, and it's from Xerox.
They mean what they say.
Faxing, copying, printing. Xerox, the document company.
1 minute and 45 seconds. That is the time remaining here in the Hoosier Dome. A chance for us to thank our crew here in the booth, and outstanding gentlemen. It's great to work with you again. Bob Bernath, our statistician. Paul Perimsky and Jeff Yarbrough, our spotters. The internet score is Rick York. Our visual score is Jeff Pfeiffer. And everything was written phonetically, and so we did a better job this week than we did a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much. Good job. Second down and 2. Pick up the first down, and he may have done that. And the Avis We Try Harder Awards, the employee owners of Avis, salute the game's most valuable player, and it is Louis Oliver that had that key interception. Looked like a devastating injury that he came back from. He's the winner of the We Try Harder Avis Award, the official car rental company of the NFL.
You know, what's interesting is a lot of times you look at those slogans and they just seem rote or rhetorical, but in his case, he did try harder.
He did.
I can't believe he was able to come back from that.
Oh, remember when we looked at it, he said, we're only going to show this one time, and and look away because just look. And then he got up and walked out and came back and played. Had the interception.
Tough guy. that man has to feel a little bit better about himself after a month's worth of inactivity.
And and Oliver's also the executive producer of a rhythm and blues group.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention that. Yes, indeed.
3 Times Love.
3 Times Love.
Yes.
Nice title.
3 Pretty Ladies. They have an album coming out. The man is an entrepreneur. And here is Mark Higgs as he carries on first down. And now let's take a look at today's Canon camcorder replay of the game.
Well, it's the only touchdown of the game, so that's what we had to have here at the top. You can see Mark Duper is going to run the corner route. Fools him. Marino lays it right in there in a 10-6 game. There's the touchdown. Mark Duper, as we mentioned earlier, that becomes the Canon camcorder replay of the game. Mark Duper able to surpass today Nat Moore as the all-time receiving leader for yardage for the Miami Dolphins.
And also along the way, Eric Dickerson becoming the first running back in the history of the National Football League with 5,000 yards with 2 separate teams, first for the Rams and now for the Colts. And a chance for us to thank our executive producer of NBC Sports, Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NFL football is John Ferratzis. Today's telecast produced by Tom Roy, directed by John McDonough. Our associate director is Jeffrey Simon. Production associate Harold Bryant. Our technical manager Larry LaFave. Production managers Tim DeKime and Willetta Dement. Is that the way Willetta pronounces it? Dement. Yes, I got it right. Say hello to Willetta. She always makes sure that we get here on time and that we have hotel rooms. Technical director is Ron Davis. So thanks to all of you, and thanks also to our crew here. Everyone has done an outstanding job. Good ball game today. Good telecast.
You know, 2 weeks ago when I had a chance to talk with Eric privately, I asked him, are there any regrets over that trade of coming from Los Angeles to Indianapolis? And of course, now that the team is heading to an 0-9 count, you'd say, well, possibly. But interestingly here, at least statistically, the man would have had his place in history. Not that he isn't going to, but he would have had a more emphatic place in history had he stayed, assuming that he maintained that average. He would have passed Peyton next year in the 12th game of the season. That is really amazing.
When we opened the telecast, we talked about the tale of 2 running backs. This man, of course, and the other man that we talked about was Sammy Smith. And Smith, of course, for the Dolphins with those 2 disastrous fumbles, and he wanted that great ball game, and he certainly had, particularly early in the ball game where he was rushing and receiving and was the focal point of the Miami offense. A nice young man, and now he can erase some of those demons of the past. Had 49 yards rushing and 14 carries. Had a good ball game. Also, he had 3 receptions for 24 yards. For Don Shula, the Miami Dolphins, their record goes to 4-5. For the Colts and Rick Venturi, their record now is 0-9. And the final score, the Miami Dolphins 10 and the Indianapolis Colts 6. Next week, Miami will host New England, and next week, Indianapolis will be at the New York Jets.